I'm Andreas, your tech-curious web designer. In this video, we will have a quick peek at Seenode, a relatively new web hosting solution with a slick and intuitive user interface, simple setup, and very beginner-friendly price structure. You get 7 trial days for free, and then the options to upgrade to a hobby plan for just $2 per month for hosting a web application with database, which in my opinion is a very good deal. But before we get started, a quick shout out to my new supporters on Patreon. A big thank you to Jay Kramer and Tatenda. I really appreciate you and welcome to my Patreon community. And if you like this content, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon. This helps me to grow this channel and to reach more aspiring web developers. And if you want to support me, you can subscribe to my Patreon page and get access to exclusive content. I'm a stay-at-home dad of 2 and every little helps. Thank you so much. Okay, and now without further ado, let's explore Seenode. So this is the Seenode website. We can sign in with Google, with GitHub, or just with email. Seenode supports Python to deploy our Django application, as well as PostgreSQL for the database. The platform is adding more features to it, which are coming soon, such as Redis or Docker. Okay, let's sign in. I sign in with GitHub. Here we give some information. We can add here a team name. This name we can see on the dashboard, but I just add my name as I'm a solo developer. And then we go to platform. Here we would choose the GitHub repository, however we have not set it up yet, so we can just go straight to the dashboard. Okay, now that we have an account here, let's deploy a demo Django application. So I'm here in Visual Studio Code and I created a new folder called deployment-Seenode. And in here I will install now a simple Django application which comes already with the basic deployment configurations such as environment variables, database configuration, gunicorn and white noise. And you can grab the files for this project from my GitHub repository at github.com/ndjut/deployment-demo. To get those files you can download a zip file, or if you have Git or GitHub Desktop installed, you can just copy this command. Open the terminal and run the command. Alright, then I create the virtual environment with Python 3-m -v. Activate the environment with source -bin/activate. Then I install the latest version of pip. Then we install the packages for this project with pip install -r requirements.txt. Let's have a quick look what packages we have in this project. So additionally to the standard packages, we also have Django-environ for the environment variables, gunicorn for the web server in production, then DJ database URL and psychopg2 binary. These are 2 packages to connect to a Postgres database, and white noise is to serve the static files. Then we do the migrations with python manage to py-migrate. Then we can create the admin user with python manage to py-create superuser. And then we can start the application with python manage to py-run server. I go to localhost colon 8000. And here we have the application running on our local machine. We can also log in. And I'm logged in as admin. Great. Okay, next let's create an env file. This is where we store the local environment variables, such as the database URL to connect to the remote database. So I'm going to my core folder here, create a new file, .env. Then I set environment to development. On the web server, we will set this to production. And then I add here the database URL. With this URL, we connect our Django application to the PostgreSQL database. Okay, let's get this database URL now from Seenode. Let's go to database here. Let's create our first database. Here I select PostgreSQL, I pick a version. Then I select the free package. It gives me the region here which is closest to me. And we can also add here database name. And then I click Create Database. And the database is created and up and running, just like that. Nice. Then to get the database URL, I click here on Connection and Users. I can see here all the connection details, but to have them as our URL, I click here on Connection Parameters. Here select URI and copy this string. And paste it in here. Okay, save this file. Now I'm going to my settings to PY file. Here I have a Postgres locally variable. So if I set this to true, I will be connected now to the remote database. Okay, save this file. Now we can do the migrations. So I shut down the server with Ctrl+C. Run the migrate command. This is adding now all the tables to the remote Postgres database on Seenode. Then I can create the admin user with Python manage to py create super user. And now the production database is set up. We can switch the variable now back to false. Alright. Save this file. And before we push this code now to GitHub, let's do a pip freeze to collect all the packages and add the version numbers. Now we have the complete list here with the versions. Next, I connect this project with GitHub Desktop to push these files to GitHub. If you want to know more about Git and GitHub Desktop, check out my web server tutorial, where I go through the setup. Link is in the description below. Here I connected GitHub Desktop with my project. Then I click here Publish Repository. Here I can add the name of this repository in GitHub and make it public or private. And then click the Publish button. Okay, we push this project now to our repository on GitHub. Let's connect it now with Seenode. I go here to Web to create a new web service. Click here Create Service. I configure my account. Then select here my repository. And continue. I select here the Python version I use in my project. Here's the build command to install the requirements. And here I add the start command. I'm using gunicorn as the web server. Then I specify the file where the application is executed, which is in the a_core.whiskey file. And then I'm binding the application to port number 80. Then we add the environment variables. So I just copy the environment variables from here. Add them in here. And instead of development, I change this to production. Alright. And then click Continue. Here select Tier 1. I'm still in a free trial. And now our project is being deployed to Seenode, and we can inspect the progress here in the logs. Alright, as we see, the deployment was successful. Then under the Variables tab, we can see the environment variables. Then domains. This is our domain on Seenode. We can also add later our custom domain, but let's click on this link here. But this gives me for now a bad request error. And this is because we have not set up the allowed host and CSRF trusted origin for this domain. Let's fix that now. So I copy the URL, and go back to my Django application. Then I go to my settings to PY file. Here we have the list of the allowed hosts. I'm adding here the URL, but I'm getting rid of the backslash at the end and the HTTPS at the start, so just the domain. And in the trusted origins, I add the URL. Again, without the backslash. Alright, save this file and let's re-upload it to GitHub. Let's give this commit a title, commit domain, and push origin. Then we go back to Seenode. But as we can notice, it is not automatically deploying the new commit. We are going to set up a workflow for this in a bit with Github Actions. For now, I just deploy it manually. So I click here deploy specific commit. I can see here the latest commit. So I click deploy. And the application is deploying again. Alright, the deploy is now live. Let's check it out. I'm refreshing the page. And the website is now up and running. Nice. Let's log in. Alright, I'm logged in as the admin. Let's quickly check the admin interface with /admin. And we also have access to the admin interface. Great. Okay, this was a very quick demo how to deploy a Django application to Seenode. To complete this application for production, we would still need to create a CSS file. At the moment, we are still using the whole Tailwind CSS CDN. Then set up an email client to send email verification to users. Then we also need a media server for uploading media files, as well as a custom domain for the site. Links to all those tutorials you can find in the description below. As last, let's set up our automatic deployment workflow with Github Actions. A guide to set this up is in the documentation, so we click on the question mark icon up here, and documentation. Then here I'm going to deploy using Github Actions. For this we have to set up two repository secrets, first the Seenode application ID and the Seenode JWT token. This JSON web token is used to authenticate GitHub with Seenode. Okay, let's go to GitHub. Here I'm going to settings, to secrets and variables. Then I click on actions. And here I'm adding my repository secrets. So the first one is the Seenode application ID. The ID I can see on Seenode, so let's go back. And we can see the application ID here in the URL. So I just copy this number, go back to GitHub, and add it here as secret. Okay. And the next one is the Seenode JWT token. And this token you can request from the Seenode support team. They will give you a token for your account and activate it. This is my token, then add secret. Okay, that's done. Let's go back to the documentation. Then in our project, we have now to create this deploy.yaml file. So let's go back to the code. I go to my root here and add a new file. I create here a .github folder, then a workflows folder, and inside a deploy.yaml file. And then I copy and paste this code from here. Okay, and this code here uses the Seenode application ID and the Seenode JWT token. Okay, save this file. Let's also change something on the website to display a change. So I'm going to my template folder, to includes, to header.html. And instead of the dark background for the navigation bar, I add here a light blue. Okay, save this file. Now let's push it to GitHub. Add a commit title, then click commit domain and push origin. Alright, then on GitHub we can click on the Actions tab. And here we can see that our action is being executed. Okay, once this is finished, we can go back to Seenode. And as we can see, the deployment started now automatically. Nice. The deployment is now live. Let's check it out. I refresh the page. And there we have now the blue navigation bar. Awesome. So if you're looking for a user-friendly and low-cost web hosting solution, give Seenode a try. But this is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon not to miss the next one. I hope to see you very soon. Until then, stay curious my friends, and bye bye for now.